That moment when you completely forget to record an intro to your video, and now it's been 3 days, and you're just finally editing the video, and you don't have any more time to film anything for the video or do anything for the video because it's literally Christmas Eve, and you have like the tiniest amount of time to work. So you just have to like make up an intro, but you didn't realize it until you're already eating a Blizzard from Dairy Queen and vibing with the boys. This is awkward. In lawsuits filed in 2000 and 2002, which were dismissed by the courts in 2003, former band members Bob Daisley, Lee Kerslake, and Phil Susan stated that Osbourne was delinquent in paying them royalties and had denied them due credit on albums they played on. In November 2003, a federal appeals court unanimously upheld the dismissal by the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California of the lawsuit brought by Daisley and Kerslake. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit ruled that Osbourne did not owe any royalties or credit to the former band members who were let go in 1981. To resolve further issues, Ozzy's manager and wife Sharon chose to replace Daisley and Kerslake's contributions on the original masters, replacing them with Robert Trujillo on bass and Mike Borden on drums. The albums were then reissued. The original tracks were restored for the 30th anniversary of the albums. Sabbath returned to the studio to work on new material with all four original members and producer Rick Rubin in the spring of 2001, but the sessions were halted when Osbourne was called away to finish tracks for his solo album Down to Earth. While recording the new album with Black Sabbath, Ozzy received a call from Norman, his sister Jean's husband, who informed him that his mother was passing away. Down to Earth, Osbourne's first album of new studio material in 6 years, was released on the 16th of October 2001. A live album, live at Budokan, followed in 2002. Down to Earth, which achieved platinum status in 2003, featured the single Dreamer, a song which peaked at number 10 on Billboard's mainstream rock tracks. In June 2002, Osbourne was invited to participate in the Golden Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II, performing the Black Sabbath anthem Paranoid at the Party at the Palace concert in the grounds of Buckingham Palace. In 2003, Osbourne recruited former Metallica bassist Jason Newsted, though his time with Osbourne would be short. Osbourne's former bassist Robert Trujillo replaced Newsted in Metallica during this exact same period. Now onto the tracks for Down to Earth. Track 1, Gets Me Through. Opening the album cover of Down to Earth reveals the inspiration of this song by Ozzy himself. After thanking many people for the creation of this album, Ozzy states, and most of all to my loyal fans, I wrote Gets Me Through as a tribute to all of you. Saying thank you doesn't seem like enough. I owe my life to you, Ozzy. Going Through Hell is a pretty heavy song, and it really puts Ozzy with people like Pantera. Dreamer is a song about peace and love and all that hippie stuff. No Easy Way Out is a pretty heavy song that makes me wonder why this album is so low ranked. That I Never Had just continues the progress that the album is making and really continues to be impressive. You Know Part 1 is a song from Ozzy dedicated to his oldest daughter from his first marriage, Jessica. And it's kind of weird. I don't know why it's called Part 1 when there's no Part 2. And yeah, it's about how Jessica thought that he abandoned her and so wanted nothing to do with him. And yeah, a lot of emotional stuff. Once again, though, I don't know why it's only called Part 1. Junkie is a song about being a drug addict, and in fact it's the opposite of most of Ozzy's songs, because instead of being about how great it is to do drugs, it's actually about anti-drug addiction and about getting how life is better when you're not a junkie. Running Out of Time. It's about a soldier living with his past experiences post-war, struggling to stay sane even after all the things he saw that were so terrible he would never wish them upon anyone. He killed people, so he has no soul to sell. Just another lonely, broken hero means that he's just one of many soldiers suffering through the same thing. Also in the second verse, he mentions faith guiding him, but in the chorus says he's running out of faith because he starts to question if what he did was really right. Black Illusion is another pretty decent song. But the next song, Alive, is a song about how Ozzy is shocked that he's still alive after everything he's been through. I wish I could say the same right now. Can You Hear Them is a song about the voices in my head. It's a song about schizophrenia. There are bugs crawling in my skin. Anyway, schizophrenic people are real people too, so we shouldn't bully them, but also there's bugs in my skin. In 2002, Osbourne and wife Sharon were invited to the White House Correspondents Association dinner by Fox News Channel correspondent Greta Van Susteren for that year's event. President George W. Bush noted Ozzy's presence by joking, "The thing about Ozzy is, he's made a lot of big hit recordings. Party with the Animals, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Facing Hell, Black Skies, and Bloodbath in Paradise." Barbara Bush loves her stuff. Osbourne achieved greater celebrity status through the MTV reality television series The Osbournes. Created by his wife Sharon, the show follows the home life of Ozzy Osbourne and his family. His wife Sharon, his children Jack and Kelly, his other son Louis, who sometimes showed up, and Amy never participated. Neither did Jessica. The program became one of MTV's greatest hits. It premiered on the 5th of March 2002, and the final episode aired on the 21st of March 2005. In March 2002, Osbourne's Emmy-winning reality show The Osbournes debuted on MTV and quickly became a worldwide hit. The show introduced Osbourne to a broader audience and, to capitalize, the band's back catalog label Sanctuary Records released a double live album, Past Lives, which featured concert material recorded in the 70s, including the Live at Last album. The band remained on hiatus until the summer of 2004 when they returned to headline Ozfest 2004 and 2005. In November 2005, Black Sabbath were inducted into the UK Music Hall of Fame, and in March 2006, after 11 years of eligibility, Osbourne famously refused the initial nomination in 1999. The band were inducted into the U.S. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. At the awards ceremony, Metallica played two Sabbath songs, Hole in the Sky and Iron Man, as a tribute. Now, we're going to talk about the Osbourne show. I wanted to do this in a bit more of a different format than I did with the songs, and so that's what we're going to do here. I would have loved to have... There's just so much to talk about that I don't really think I could include it all as one. It would just become too much to edit, and it would be almost a whole separate video if I didn't just do it this way. So this show was only 52 episodes, and it went by extremely quickly. I've never been a huge reality TV fan. That's more my mother's thing. In fact, I've always had a distaste for shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or that. I never found it to be something that interested me. Like I said, especially shows about women covered in an entire Barbie doll factory worth of plastic. The Osbournes, however, entirely contradicts the stereotypical reality TV family. Going through each member and what they go through over the 4 seasons of the show, or 4 years of their life that's been documented, we really get what is essentially a time capsule into those years. Starting with our obvious intentional star and leading man of the show, Ozzy. The series begins with him putting finishing touches on the Down to Earth album, and Season 1 covers his tour during the album and his desire to once again retire. Seasons 2 and 3 involve many stories of Ozzy trying to find new hobbies now that he has retired from music. The final season, Season 4, contradicts the entire rest of the series as Ozzy decides he doesn't quite ready to hang up the Prince of Darkness cape. Throughout the show, we see Ozzy's Parkinson's affect him in nearly every conversation. Not helping is his alcohol consumption either. However, there are many standout moments of Ozzy showcasing that no matter how high he gets, he will always love his children, and he always chooses family first, something I greatly admire about him. Next, we'll discuss the breakout star, Kelly. As originally, she was just another member of the show, but since she's gone on to become much more famous and now has married to the Sid Wilson of Slipknot, I think it's fair to say that she was kind of not intended to be the star, but definitely ended up one of the breakout stars of the show. In particular, she resonated a lot with the teenagers who, were on MTV at the time. Kelly was going through a lot of changes during this show, personally, emotionally, and physically. So, throughout the show's 4 seasons, she goes from, just barely 14, 13, into a teenager and a young woman, with the many staples of teenagehood being explored, like sneaking out to go to parties, first boyfriends, double standards, weight loss and gain, and many other things. Kelly Osbourne, being a reality TV star, gave young girls a role model who wasn't made of plastic or pushing beauty products or unhealthy eating habits to people. Which is why, even though it is extremely depressing that here in 2026, Kelly Osbourne really is just a repeat of her mother at this point and really has gotten a bunch of cosmetic surgery. It really does. It is still admirable that at this time she gave a lot of young girls a role model that I'm sure they really needed at that time. Over time, she becomes addicted to alcohol and drugs during the show and ends up in rehab and ends up closing her entire musical career. Next, we'll talk about Jack, who, at the start of the show, is a typical lazy teenage boy who doesn't really want to do anything. But throughout the show, he matures into a young man, and it's through Jack that we actually get cameos from a lot of, at the time, relatively unknown celebrities, like a fresh off of Fellowship of the Ring Elijah Wood, his sister Hannah, Jason Dill, Christina Aguilera, Natalie Portman, who was fresh out of Phantom Menace, Courtney Love, obviously Kurt Cobain's wife, Brianna Cobain, and others. We see him celebrate a year of sobriety, going from a reckless party boy and womanizer to a self-made man that he is today. And finally, we have the least well-aged member of the family, Sharon Osbourne. Oh, this is just a can of worms. An episode I've seen pointed out on the internet multiple times while doing research for this video, and something I noticed myself, is that there's an entire episode where Sharon Osbourne tries to pursue an underage Kelly and tries to basically try to get her to be in a romantic relationship with P. Diddy, of all people. Yes, Diddy. The man with a documentary about his famous sexual abuse allegations out right now. And with some of the specifics of them that are mentioned in the show, like Kelly meeting Diddy at a party, or Sharon mentioning baby oil, it really does not point out, it doesn't really show that this is an innocent joke on Sharon's part, and that she really seemed fully prepared to, actually traffic her daughter to P. Diddy, which is kind of fucked up. Isn't it, Wally? Honestly, throughout the entire show, Sharon does a lot of questionable things. For starters, I already mentioned the weird Diddy episode, but on top of that, she's always causing fights with the neighbors, and at one point she pisses in Jason Dill's bottle of Jack Daniels, and just many, many other things that do not paint her in a very nice light. And yeah, it takes a crazy woman to be with Ozzy Osbourne, but holy moly, she is crazy. However, despite some of her more wild antics, it ends up being Sharon who undergoes the most dramatic changes throughout the 4 seasons of the show. She starts season 1 as a typical mom, but in season 2 she is diagnosed with colon cancer. Ozzy mentions in his autobiography that due to her diagnosis, the family had considered canceling the show after only 1 season, as everyone was so worried about Sharon Osbourne's health. But that it had actually been Sharon who demanded they continue the show, and told them that it doesn't get any more real than this. The first big arc of Season 2 is highly focused on Sharon and her cancer treatment, as well as how all of the family react to her ups and downs. Ozzy becomes unable to focus on writing or performing, with Sharon being his only concern. Kelly begins taking drugs and acting out, Jack becomes depressed, and most importantly, later Jack gets a tattoo with Mom in a heart dedicated to Sharon out of fear that she'll pass away. Sharon's cancer begins to go into remission, and she begins hosting her talk show around the time of Season 3, but by the start of Season 4, Sharon's talk show is being cancelled, as many people don't want to be with her around her due to her unhinged behavior. By the end of Season 4, her show is cancelled, she's back to helping manage Ozzy, Ozzy's now touring, Kelly and Jack are both done partying, and everyone is back to being themselves. The success of the Osbournes led Ozzy and the rest of his family to host the 30th Annual American Music Awards in January of 2003. The night was marked with constant bleeping due to some of the lewd and raunchy remarks made by Ozzy and Sharon. Presenter Patricia Heaton walked out in disgust. What? What's up? I don't know what he's yapping about. Ozzy experienced tremors for many, many years and linked them to his continuous drug abuse. In 2003, he found out it was a genetic form of Parkinson's disease. Osbourne had to take daily medication for the rest of his life to combat the involuntary shudders associated with the condition. Osbourne also showed symptoms of mild hearing loss, as depicted in the television show The Osbournes, where he often asked everyone to repeat what they said to him. In 2003, Ozzy told the Los Angeles Times how he was nearly incapacitated by medication prescribed by a Beverly Hills doctor. The doctor was alleged to have prescribed 13,000 doses of 32 drugs in 1 year. However, after a 9-year investigation by the Medical Board of California, the Beverly Hills physician was exonerated of all charges. On the 8th of December 2003, Ozzy Osbourne was rushed into emergency surgery at Slough's Wexham Park Hospital following an accident with his quad bike on his estate in Jordan's Buckinghamshire. Osbourne broke his collarbone, 8 ribs, and a neck vertebra. An operation was performed to lift the collarbone, which was believed to be resting on a major artery and interrupting blood flow to one of Ozzy's arms. Sharon later revealed that Ozzy had actually stopped breathing following the crash and was resuscitated by his personal bodyguard, Sam Ruston. While in the hospital, Ozzy achieved his first ever UK #1 single, a duet of the Black Sabbath ballad Changes with his daughter Kelly. All of this taking place during the show, actually. It was filmed. In doing so, he broke the record of the longest period between an artist's first UK chart appearance, with Paranoid being in number 4 in 1970, and their first #1 hit, a gap of 33 years. He recovered from the quad accident and went on to headline the 2004 Ozzfest with the reunited Black Sabbath. In 2005, Ozzy and his wife Sharon starred in an MTV competition reality show entitled Battle for Ozzfest. A number of yet unsigned bands send one member to compete in a challenge to win a spot on the 2005 Ozzfest and a possible recording contract. During Ozzfest 2005, after having missed several shows due to his health, Ozzy announced he was retiring from the event. He came back in 2006, but with a reduced schedule, leaving System of a Down to close most of the shows. Unfortunately, I was not able to actually find the Battle for Ozzfest reality show. I tried to search plenty of places, legally and illegally, and it seems like it honestly might be lost media at this point. Tickets for the 2007 Ozzfest tour were offered to fans free of charge, which led to some controversy. In 2008, Ozzfest was reduced to a one-day event in Dallas, Texas, where Ozzy played alongside Metallica and King Diamond. In 2010, the tour opened with a Jersey Shore spoof kit starring Ozzy. Ozzy appeared as the headliner, closing the show after opening acts Halford and Motley Crue. The tour, though small, only 6 events, generated rave reviews. In March 2005, Osbourne released a box set called Prince of Darkness. The first and second discs are collections of live performances, B-sides, demos, and singles. The third disc contained duets and other odd tracks with other artists, including Born to be Wild with Miss Piggy. The fourth disc is entirely new material where Osbourne covers his favorite songs by his biggest influence and favorite bands, including the Beatles, John Lennon, David Bowie, and others. In November 2005, Osbourne released the covers album Undercover, featuring the 10 songs from the fourth Prince of Darkness and 3 more songs. Osbourne's band for this album included Alice Chains guitarist Jerry Cantrell, bassist Chris Wise, and Faith No More drummer Mike Borden. Osbourne also helped judge the 2005 UK series of The X Factor, where his wife Sharon was one of the main judges. In March 2006, he said that he hoped to release a new studio album soon with longtime guitarist Zakk Wylde. In October 2006, it was announced that Tony Iommi, Ronnie James Dio, Bill Ward, and Geezer Butler will be touring again, but not as Black Sabbath, and instead a new band named Heaven and Hell. Ozzy appeared in a TV commercial for I Can't Believe It's Not Butter, which began airing in the UK in February 2006. I couldn't find the X Factor video archive, and I couldn't find the commercial. If anyone wants to leave those in the comments, I would love that. Ozzy's next album, entitled Black Rain, was released on the 22nd of May 2006. His first new studio album in almost 6 years, it featured a more serious tone than previous albums. Not Going Away is a song about how Ozzy is not going away anytime soon. Once again, I wish that was still the current case. I Don't Want to Stop is a great song, and it's been one of the songs that I listened to quite a bit, of Ozzy's before I even listened to Ozzy consistently. The title track, this song is about war and its effects on people, and both positive and negative. Lay Your World on Me is a song about atonement, emotional resilience, and unconditional support. It reflects Ozzy's personal journey of redemption, as well as a universal message of love and strength. Whether addressed to his wife Sharon, a friend, or even the listener, the song ultimately conveys a profound commitment to standing by those we love no matter how heavy the burden may be. The Almighty Dollar is a song about how Jews control the world. No, I'm kidding. It's a song about how money is basically used to corrupt everyone, and how like it's just a social construct, and in reality it's just like a piece of paper or a little piece of metal. And it doesn't really make sense how we assign a value to something with like nothing to base it off of. We just kind of made up that this piece of paper is worth this much money and this piece of paper is made worth this much money. But they're all pieces of paper made out of the same fucking materials. Most of them are the same fucking color. So I don't even know why people care so much. Lead and silver is just okay, I guess. Civilize the Universe is a deeply cynical look at war, morality, and the illusion of progress. Ozzy critiques the way violence is justified under the guise of justice, faith, and civilization. The song suggests that humanity is stuck in an endless loop of destruction, blindly following leaders who claim to be righteous while leading people into conflict. It's a song about hypocrisy, about how war and oppression are often disguised as necessary or noble, and how people are manipulated into believing in causes that ultimately lead to more suffering. The repeated plea to civilize the universe is dripping with irony, suggesting that, for all our supposed advancements, we are still no better than the cavemen. Here for You is a song from Ozzy to Sharon about how much he loves her. Countdown Begins is a song about nuclear bombs, like the one I dropped in the toilet earlier today. Trapdoor. I think this actually might be one of my favorite songs by Ozzy. On the 20th of February 2008, Ozzy, Sharon, Kelly, and Jack hosted the 2008 Brit Awards held at Earl's Court, London. Once again, I couldn't find footage of this. Ozzy managed to remain clean and sober for extended periods around this time. Ozzy appears in a commercial for the online video game World of Warcraft. He was also featured in the music video game Guitar Hero World Tour as a playable character. He becomes unlocked upon completing Mr. Crowley and Crazy Train in the vocalist career. The 2002 dark fantasy combat flight simulator Savage Skies was initially developed under the title Ozzy's Black Skies, and was to feature his likeness as well as songs from both Black Sabbath and his solo career, but licensing issues forced developer iRock Interactive to retool the game and release it without the Ozzy branding. Ozzy revealed in July 2009 that he was currently seeking a new guitar player. While he stated that he had not fallen out with Zakk Wylde, he said he felt his songs were beginning to sound like Black Label Society and he fancied a change. In August of 2009, Ozzy performed at the gaming festival BlizzCon with a new guitarist in his lineup, Gus G. Ozzy also provided his voice and likeness to the video game Brutal Legend character, the Guardian of Metal. In November, Slash featured Ozzy on vocals on his single Crucify the Dead, and Osbourne with wife Sharon were guest hosts on WWE Raw. I want to find that episode really bad. In December, Ozzy announced that he would be releasing a new album titled Soul Sucka with Gus G, Tommy Clufetos on drums, and Blasco on bass. Negative fan feedback was brought to Ozzy's attention regarding the album title. In respect of his fans' opinions, on March 29th he announced his album would be renamed to Scream. In October of 2009, Ozzy published his autobiography, I Am Ozzy, where a lot of the info in this documentary series has come from. He said ghostwriter Chris Ayres told him he had enough material for a sequel. A film adaptation was supposedly in the works, but unfortunately, it hasn't come out yet, and it's been about 10, 20... It's been about 17 years, so I really don't know exactly. I don't know if that's going to be happening.